You got me? Good morning. How you guys doing?
Morning, Pat.
Larry's got the sunglasses, driving to Tampa or something. Where are you headed? Jeez, oh Pete. But,
I just left work up at 3 a.m., ready for some football.
Good. Well, we are too. Well, good to see your faces again. It seems like it's been forever. I hope by the end of spring ball, maybe we can do it in person. But you look at the ACC basketball tournament, what's going on there, we're not out of the woods yet, as you guys know. And it's something I've emphasized with our kids with COVID and this pandemic that seems to keep running on and on. You hear about Ohio State shutting down, Duke shutting down this week. So again, this is something, it's worse. It's still going. It's still ongoing. So, so that's a constant battle, as you guys know. We just finished our Ironworks program for the winter conditioning, which Coach Stack and his crew did a tremendous job. I think our kids made a lot of headway in there, not only strength and conditioning, but discipline-wise. I think just some of the little things we're doing in there, our kids have loved what we're doing in that program. And again, it's that development in the weight room this time of year that's going to help us win games in November. And I think that's important. And we'll have another phase, obviously after spring ball, we'll get into when they get into summer term one. So we're excited about that. Obviously spring ball. Been really excited. I think everybody gets excited for spring ball, okay? But this year, I think in particular, just not having it a year ago, and probably I've talked to half the guys on the team right now. 30 or 40-minute meeting with each guy on a football team, and just the development we lost. And I think about the quarterback position where Kenny was developed already, but we really couldn't find who that number 2 guy was, then you look at some of the linemen that just lost their spring, and then you get into fall camp, and it was kind of an abbreviated fall camp. Wasn't like we wanted. The summer wasn't where we wanted it to be. Just a really odd offseason. We're hoping to have a kind of a consistent offseason program, normal offseason program as we go. So I think spring ball, if we can get our 15 days in, we're going to be a lot better football program when that ends. So spring ball's coming. Obviously, pro day next Wednesday. We're excited about our guys coming back to town. Some of them are here already, so we're excited about that. Wish you guys could be there. I believe it'll be on some type of network where you'll be able to see. If EJ and RJ were good, they'd have a big screen in there where you guys could watch it from up above. We'll see what they can do with that, but I don't think that'd be something that couldn't be done. Excited about our 2 new coaches. I mean, there's been a lot going on since, the last time we talked, but 2 new coaches. The first one that we hired, and again, we're happy for Rob Hart and his exit to be a coordinator at Arkansas State. Again, it's a great opportunity for him and his family. It's something he's been wanting to do for a couple of years and finally had that opportunity. And like I said, when you have good coaches, people are going to come get them, and they got a good one in Rob Harley, and we got a great one in Ryan Manilak as well. Coming in and excited about him. Again, I'm excited because I got so much, time with him back when he played at Cincinnati and coached with us at Michigan State. It's been an easy transition, as easy as you're going to get at the linebacker position. That was something I was looking for. If we could get the right guy, is the smallest transition you can have, the better. So he fits right in with us defensively. And then receiver coach Brendan Marion, who again, an outstanding football coach. Excuse me. We're excited about everything he brings to the table, not only coaching but recruiting. He's really clicked with our kids coming in here. Obviously a Pittsburgh native, so there's a lot of things to like about him. And I really didn't know him coming into this whole thing. And again, I think as a coach, you keep an open mind. You heard his name early and often, and that actually turned me off. I was like, okay, I had enough of this guy. He's out. But I wasn't going to be closed-minded and looking at it like that. And I just kind of opened up and said, we're going to look for the best guy. I don't care what it is, a boy, girl, the guy that's, really pushing hard for this job, or the guy that's sitting back in his office, not doing a thing. And I think we got a great coach in Brennan. So we're excited about him as well. So with that, I'll leave it up. Oh, roster-wise, again, I'm sure you guys will have some questions about some of the newcomers, but talked about the strength program and just some of the new guys coming in here. They've all done a great job. You guys have had a chance on Wednesdays to sit down with a couple of those guys and pick their brains and see see what they're all about. And I'm really impressed with them. And again, through COVID, we've talked about it during, I guess signing day. But through COVID and all we went through that, the 12 guys we have on campus are exceptional kids, workers. You love what they look like, and you weren't sure what some of them would even look like. You weren't sure if they were going to be 5'10" or 6 foot. But we really, did a heck of a job recruiting those 12 guys, and I'm looking forward to seeing the next 12 because we don't know as much about them as you guys know. So I think when you look at the whole package of those guys, outstanding group of players. And again, you guys can ask some questions on them. And then one side note, Malik Newton, who you probably have not heard from, has been medically disqualified. So that's on the sad side of it. We've had that happen maybe 4 or 5 years ago. George Hill and Zach Gilbert it popped up again. And, I'm not going to get into what it is, but the point is, we feel bad for Malik and his family. You come mid-year to college, you think you're going to play football, and then, we got some of the greatest doctors in the world here in Pittsburgh, and, they find out some things that they are not going to allow him to play football at Pitt. And so he's a guy that will be with us. He's on our football team. He'll be medicaled, and we'll continue to hug him up and love him up and make sure he gets his degree here if he chooses to stay at Pitt. So with that, I'll open it up for questions.
How you doing?
Doing good. How you doing, Jerry?
I'm doing well, thank you. I'm interested in this concept of the super seniors, the guys who decided to come back because of the NCAA waiver. Do you feel there'll be?
I'm interested too.
Pardon me?
I said I'm interested too.
Oh, okay. I'm wondering if you feel there'll be a correlation between teams that have a lot of them, a good number of these guys, and success experience. They'll almost be like 5 or 6 years seniors, guys who've been around for long. I know coaches like yourself like to have guys with a lot of experience. It's going to help down the road in the one-loss column, probably.
Yeah. I don't know if it's going to correlate to any success, Jerry. If they were really, really, really good, they probably left for the NFL draft, correct? So I think, they'll all develop. I'm excited they're all back. I can tell you that. And some of them will turn into NFL players for sure with another year of development. And I think, you look at a Pat Jones and a DeMar Hamlin and them coming back for another year, what it did for their careers. I think they made money. And I think, these 13 super seniors that we have on our football team are all good football players and are going to have an opportunity. So, I wouldn't say, it's going to relate to any wins. You can't say, okay, if you got 13, that, counts as 13 wins. I wish it would. Obviously we got to stay healthy and it takes a team to get that done, but we're excited to have those guys back. And, you look at Kenny Pickett, I mean, that's a great super senior to have back. I mean, Phil Campbell, I mean, you can go right down the line. We've got a lot of really good players back. Jerry, I thought you were going to ask about super seniors. I'll just hit the super seniors. With the NCAA, back when this whole thing was announced, and I think you guys know this, and maybe you don't, but when this whole thing was announced back in, in the summer that, hey, everybody gets a free year, the NCAA, Merry Christmas, everybody's going to get another year. So now we have, super seniors, we have seniors, we have juniors and so forth. And, those don't count towards our 85 scholarship count, as you probably know. But in a year, that number could go from whatever in the 90s, okay, to 85 again, okay? So the NCAA is saying you have these super seniors, but right now there's no rule saying next year, let's just say we have 12 seniors, that they are all going to have an opportunity to be super seniors, okay? I don't think the super seniors seems like it's a 2021 deal, as ACC coaches and coaches in every Power 5 conference are working on that right now to say, hey, let's extend the super senior thing. You're giving them a year, but they're pretty much saying you got to have your scholarships cut back down to 85, which is not fair to the kids and not fair to the coaches. They become the good guys saying, hey, everybody's got a free year. And then we become the bad guys saying, hey, wait a second, you can't stay here. If I kept every super senior next year, let's just say we have 12 next year, seniors now that could be super seniors, if I kept every one of those, there are 0 scholarships for the 2022 class. I don't know if you realize that. That can't happen. And it'll just trickle down. If something doesn't happen, it'll trickle down to the high school level, and there'll be a lot of sad faces there.
I was going to ask about that. I mean, how do you even approach your recruiting right now if you don't know I mean, every year the numbers move of scholarships you have available, but if you could potentially have like 4, I mean, how do you approach it right now?
You tell me. Maybe I'll bring you to be my advisor. It's hard. I mean, you don't know. I mean, let's take, for example, like Deslin's a senior next year. He could be a super senior. Is Deslin going to stay or is he going to go? I don't know. So there's a lot of questions. There's going to be a lot of, I don't know. And you're trying to keep your 22 class going, and we're going to just keep recruiting and going. However, there's some issues there that need to be resolved through the NCAA and the conference offices.
Pat, is that something you brought up with Heather? Because I know she's on the D1 council.
Yeah, we've talked to the ACC. We've talked to to commissioner, new commissioner. We've talked at every level, but it's something we're trying to iron out. And there's different proposals. The ACC's got a proposal. The SEC's got a proposal. So we're just trying to figure out which one we're going to do and if we're going to do anything at all.
How many guys?
Coach, it looks like,
Pat. How many guys can you bring to camp? Is there a new limit?
No, don't really know right now. I mean, don't really know. Usually there's 105. I would imagine it's going to be it's probably going to be your Title IX number, which for us it's 115. That's what we brought last year. I would say that probably stay the same. Again, the NCAA and the conferences gave that to us just because, you may have guys out, and what they didn't want to bring is 105 in, and then school starts bring another 10 in and have them, mess with the bubble. So I would imagine that's probably going to be, we'll be able to bring in as many as we're allowed to bring in.
since COVID looks like by the end of summer, we may be in a better place, Coach. Hopefully the season will play out with the schedule that's posted. And since last year was so atypical, have you changed the way any philosophies going into this year?
Not really. I mean, we're just hoping to have a normal year, Larry. I mean, obviously we changed a lot of different things fundamentally, tactically and technically, as far as what we're doing as a football team, schematically speaking. But, I'm not sure what you're talking about on the outside, but, we're staying status quo and trying to get better as a football team. I don't know if I answered your question, Larry, but I'm not sure I understood it either.
Well,
go ahead, Larry.
Let me just clarify that, because last year was so atypical, and you still have a bit of a hybrid with these super seniors. Assuming your schedule stays the same, when you look at last year, I'm just curious how you take what you saw and plan and strategize for the new season. What may have popped out to you last year that you may change going into this season?
Yeah, I mean, I think our plan last year was good as far as how we practiced. I'm guessing you're talking about just how we practiced and the protocols we put in to get what we got done. We're hoping it loosens up and things are better as we get through spring ball and get into fall camp.
Pat, with these spring practices, are you guys going full team sessions, staggered times, pods of 25, 50, 100? How are you guys handling that?
We're going. Yeah, we're going. We're going to play football. We're still testing, as you know, and our kids, kids have done a great job. We're gonna practice like we normally do. We went in pods last year, maybe 2 days out of all our preseason days. We did it just in case. We changed some things. Maybe Larry's talking about. We changed some things just as far as practicing almost two platoon, but all at the same time, and almost servicing each other like you would in high school. So it's an offensive period and it's a defensive period, and we were just servicing them when our numbers started to get low as the season wore on. When we did have some issues after Georgia Tech, I guess the original Georgia Tech game. So we'll just continue to we're going to continue to play football. I mean, if we can't play out there as a team, we're not going to play. And I feel like our kids are safe. I think they're being smart on campus. They've proven that throughout the this winter session since they got back in mid-January, and we've been fortunate. Our kids are smart and paying attention, and our coaches have done a great job of making sure they're on top of things.
Are you guys testing 3 times a week during the spring still?
We're one time a week right now. We're one time a week, and like I said, it's every Wednesday. I'll tell you that, and we came out Wednesday clean again. So just keep moving ahead.
And obviously it stinks for Malik. But do you feel like, what do you feel about the depth of your running backs? And do you feel like you gained some traction with Vince, especially at the end of last year?
We really do. When you talk, if we get into some football, and really what we're looking for is Vince Davis is our starting tailback. I think last year at this time I said we got some guys. Vince is our starting tailback, and everybody behind him is going after Vince. I mean, Vince is the guy. He's proven that, in the run game, in the pass protection game, in the passing game out of the backfield. So Vince is the guy to beat right now, and you got super senior AJ Davis that we expect to get a lot more out than we did last year, and we'll see, and Izzy and the rest of those guys in that backfield, Daniel Carter.
Bringing in Brennan Marion, what were your impressions of the Gogo offense and everything that kind of he has developed in his career so far in terms of the offensive scheme and mindset?
I don't know what the Gogo offense is. Okay, so that's the first thing. We don't talk. Again, we hired a receiver coach. We didn't hire an offense coordinator. Obviously, we love him because he's got other things he's done. So when we get into game planning, when we get into spring ball, as you start to say formationally, hey, this is what we used to do. So that'll come as we grow as a staff offensively. But obviously, he's very creative in what he does, and I think it's the two backs in the backfield, but I'm not sure. I've never asked him. It's not something we hired him to run a Go-Go offense. I don't know what that is, but it might be the two back sets. Some of the stuff they did at William and Mary, and they weren't doing it in Hawaii. I mean, I've watched a ton of tape on Hawaii before we hired him. But again, he's very creative. That's the great thing, is he's got a creative mind. He's going to help us, kind of move our offense along.
It seems like every year, the last season and the way the last season ended sort of sets a tone for the coming off season and maybe even into the next year. Is that the case this year because of how just sort of abnormal last season was? I mean, I don't want to say, does last season even count in your head? But I mean, kind of, just because it was so different. It was, so unique. There were so many challenges. I mean, you didn't even play in a bowl game. You're just like, we're done. We're not going to play anymore this season. I mean, does it, I don't know. Did it, I don't know. Is there anything that carries over from that year, or is it just sort of a blank space for you a little bit?
It's a lot, Chris, that carries over. I mean, you played 11 football games. You had an opportunity to play 12 when you turned it down. When you look at, we won 3 of the last 4. I think that's what you got to carry with you. We played some good teams at the end of the year, including a playoff team in Clemson. You played 2 of your 5 losses are playoff teams, which I don't know how many teams played 2 playoff teams in the regular season. But we certainly did. And so there's a lot of carryover from what we did last year. You look at the last game of the season being a win, and down at Georgia Tech. I think when you look at what we did, both offensively and defensively and special teams wise, there's some great things. And again, I think we were playing our best football as the season ended. And I think that's what we carry over, is what we were doing at the end of the season. Let's carry it over. Let's get even better, in the development. And again, I think the development is key, guys. I mean, we missed a ton of football, guys. I don't know if our kids even realize it, but I know our coaches realize how much, whether it's an offensive lineman, a Jason Collier, who moved from tight end. He's 340 pounds right now. And I'm looking forward to seeing him get coached this spring, because he didn't have a spring. He didn't have a time to develop. And, whether it's, developing a backup quarterback or developing an offensive line or a young defensive line, the development time is essential. And if you don't have it, you're losing a lot.
Coach, you mentioned, go ahead, Kelly.
I was just going to say, I know you said we're not out of the woods yet, but is this like the most optimistic you felt in a while, that things are, you don't have to worry as much about everything you had to deal with last year? Yeah,
I mean, it's definitely a lot easier as a coach to know, hey, we're going to play, And John asked about, are you going to be in pods, practicing? No. We had 3 lifting groups. Put it this way, we've had 3 lifting groups all winter. So it's not like we were lifting in groups of 10. I've heard places across the country shut the weight room down. Our guys haven't. So we're obviously keeping this facility clean. We're making sure our kids are doing the protocols. They're grab and go lunch and get out of here. And they've been safe when they've been back in Oakland. So, I feel much better. I don't think there's questions sitting here. Last year about this time we were closing things down. I think maybe today, I know it was a Friday, this building was shut down and we were back home. I feel much better that there's going to be a season. We know how to do it. We hope it's not as bad as what it was. We hope everybody gets a vaccine. I think people are crazy if they don't get the vaccine. We're going to encourage every one of our kids, when that opportunity does arise, that they get a vaccine and try to make it even better. And I think that's going to be the key.
Pat, do you guys envision having a spring game? And if so, how might that look?
We hope it looks just like it normally does. I hope you guys are sitting in the stands or the box, wherever you are. that's the anticipation that we do have a spring. We're going to get to Heinz Field 3 times this spring. We're already set that up for Saturday scrimmages. So if you guys want to sit outside and peek through the gates, you can do that. But that final spring game, we're hoping and praying that we're able to have fans for that game.
Do we have one or two more questions before we get to our player representatives?
Where do you see Marcus Minor fitting in? I know he's played both guard and tackle in his career.
Yeah, we'll start him off at guard right now. He's a big, athletic, smart kid, and we're excited about how he's fit in with our football team right now.
Pat, wanted to ask about the secondary. I know you guys are going to see a lot of young guys stepping up who were filling in at the end of last year. But you had Damari Mathis who didn't get to play last year. How's he looked? Have you talked to him as far as getting ready for this season?
Yeah, we talk to him every day. Damari looks great. He's ready to go, and I think he's excited. He had I guess they had 7-on-7. We're not in there, but the rumors from the guys were that. The first time he tackled somebody. So I think he's excited. He's ready to tackle. They were in shorts and no helmets. He's tackling people in 7-on-7. So he's ready to go. He's 100% healthy. We got to keep him that way. Obviously, a great football player that we missed last year, and we're excited for what he can do this season.
Coach, I can't remember. Have we talked to you since Kenny decided he was coming back?
I don't know. That's such a long time ago. Probably not. I think we tweeted stuff out. Maybe RJ may remember, but that was like one of the best recruiting gets ever. And I was teasing him and Jimmy Morrissey in my office probably before our final game against Georgia Tech down in Atlanta about, like, hey, you guys, Kenny, you wanted that year again. We're going to get you another year. And he was like, yeah, right, coach. As he walked out the door, him and Jimmy are just giggling, kind of like, yeah, coach, that ain't happening. We're out of here. So it was kind of a foregone conclusion that he was gone. And then we had, conversations after that game when he was back in New Jersey. And, I had a lot of conversations with him and Dad and just about what he's doing. And Kenny did a great job of contacting, people across the country. Coach Whipple did a great job of contacting some of his NFL people that he trusted, Bill O'Brien, for example, and just, hey, what do you think? What should Kenny do? And I think, I think it's a great decision by Kenny. I think he can come back and really, raise his stock and become one of the top quarterbacks drafted next year.
Jerry, did you want the last one?
Yeah, if you don't mind. Pat, I saw the stat yesterday. We have 14 guys coming back on defense who had multiple TFLs. Is that there was a lot of excitement last year because you had some guys who are potential NFL players. Now you have guys who have actually been productive players and more of them this year. Does that breed more enthusiasm and more encouragement this season?
What those guys did last year, doesn't really matter, Jerry. We'll find out how they develop this year. And, those other guys that might have made plays might have been because of Rashad Weaver and Patrick Jones on one side or the other and DeMar Hamlin on the hash causing a sack because of great coverage. So it's going to take 11 guys for all those guys to make plays again. That 2020 offense or defense was, in the past. And, we'll move forward into 21 and deal with the pieces that we have right now and try to make them better.
All right, Coach. Thank you for your time today. Really appreciate it.
You got it. Thanks, guys. Have a great weekend.
Thanks, Coach. You too.
And we will have our player representatives, Deslin Alexander and Kenny Pickett, here shortly. Stay tuned.
joined by Deslin Alexander. We'll open it up for questions.
Deslin, what's the feeling like, kind of being the senior, Patrick and Rashad moving on? You're kind of the guy now.
Honestly, I can't believe I'm a senior now. I was just saying, like, in 2017, I was just a freshman. So, like, I'm ready for it. I worked hard. Those guys, they showed the way. They showed me how to watch film, how to work hard. So I'm ready for it.
Deslin, are you excited to be a leader? Are you kind of ready to put your stamp on this defense or help in that regard?
Yeah, I'm very excited. I put in a lot of hard work, and coach takes a lot of time, in film, teaching me things. So I'm ready for it all.
Deslin, you got a lot of guys coming back on defense this year. So a lot of experience and were productive. Do you see you guys coming together maybe earlier than maybe you normally would because so many guys are coming back?
Yeah, and a lot of guys, I feel like a lot of that stuff happens, because a lot of guys put in a lot of extra work with watching film and doing, doing the extra work together. So I think a lot of guys will make plays very early.
Deslin, did you speak with Patrick and Rashad about kind of taking on that leadership role when they moved on? Was that something you guys talked about?
Yeah, I reached out to both of them, right after, just saying, how they approach it. What are some things they learned? What are some things they could teach me about?
Deslin, it seems like that freshman group is a pretty confident, outgoing group. What do you make of a few of the guys you've met so far?
Some of those guys are very hungry. They're coming very hungry from high school, work very hard. PJ going to my high school, is one of those guys who brings a lot of energy to workouts and, works very hard.
Deslin, I know it's very early, but part of talking about leadership in the room is looking for other guys who you expect to step up or that you're expecting to count on. Who are some of the other guys right now in just the early workouts that you've looked at and said, and you've talked with and say, hey, like this, we got to set the tone for this new year?
A lot of guys, especially in the D-line room, another older guy, Keyshawn, John, Haba, a lot of guys take responsibility on themselves, leading older guys. I feel like it's always a collective leadership when it comes to leadership.
Deslin, one of the strengths of your defense has always been the depth, always having guys that can go after it. I mean, what are you hoping to prove or trying to show this year with the defensive ends, with you and John and Haba and maybe some of the younger guys like Nakai and Dayon?
Can you repeat your question, please?
Just saying, like, as a group with losing those two guys, your strength as a defense has always been, having a lot of depth, a lot of options. I mean, what are you hoping to prove this year, the defensive end group, after losing those two guys?
We got a lot of guys in our room that can make plays, a lot of guys that work very hard. So when it comes, we're well prepared. Coach Partridge teaches us very things, so very good technique. So we all be ready.
Deslin,
Go ahead, Kelly.
Nope, you go.
Deslin, how much did Kalijah Cansey impress you last season, and kind of where do you see the next steps with his game specifically kind of taking shape?
Yeah, I saw it all along. Koo did it. What he did out there, he did it all in practice. Koo works very hard on his craft, so that was very well expected from me.
Deslin, I kind of asked Coach the same question, but I mean, we're far from out of the woods yet, but is there a different feel now? Is there a feel like, we can take a deep breath and we're going to have football in the fall and you guys just have a different outlook this year than, for the first time in a while?
Yeah, for me especially, we, as a group, we definitely don't take it for granted, knowing where we were around this time last year and being able to be together, being able to play a season and train on these spring workouts and then going to spring ball. We're very excited about that. So,
Deslin, what did it mean to you guys as a group that Kenny decided to come back?
It meant a lot. Kenny's a very good leader. He's the heart of this team. How he leads and everything. So that was very important to this team.
Deslin, did you notice at all during the season or maybe in summer camp that things were missing? You didn't have a spring ball or a spring practice, that maybe things were missing in August. Did you notice that once the season started?
Spring ball with being such a big development period, it definitely, played a role, but we did a good job of, coming together in times we can, putting the extra work to have the best season we can.
Anything final? All good. Well, Deslin, thank you very much for your time. Really appreciate it today.
Thank you.
Good job, man. And we will have Kenny Pickett here in just a second.
How you guys doing?
All right, we got Kenny Pickett here. If you guys will go ahead and just open up for questions.
So Kenny, how excited are you after making the big decision and looking ahead to a brand new season?
Yeah, very excited. Wasn't, expecting to have another opportunity to play here. It kind of worked out that way. That I have another shot, and I'm really excited to have my final season. It's been a really good off season so far. Getting back to a little bit of normalcy with the workouts and everything. So, it's been going well.
Go ahead,
Kenny, what did you like about this group that you were excited to come back and be a part of it for another year?
I think we just got really good people on the team. I think, obviously, if I didn't love it here so much, it would have been a lot easier to leave, given the position that I was in. So, I love it here. Love the players, love the coaches. So it was a pretty, I think it was a win-win either way if I chose to leave or if I chose to stay. So, I'm really focused on being here. I'm really excited, to have one more ride with these guys.
Sure, it always was a tough decision, Kenny. You had to make. How close were you to not coming back?
Very close. It really came down to, I kind of put a deadline on. I forget which night. It was like a Thursday night or something. But I said that would be the night that either I declare or I stay. I really just wanted to field as much information as I could. I took my time with it. I feel like a lot of people rush the decision. Either they just want to rush to stay or rush to go. But I was just fielding information from a lot of people who were around the NFL, in college, and took it all in. At the end of the day, I feel like I have the ability to come back and really improve my game and just help me take the next step as a player and a person. So like I said before, I'm just really excited to be back.
Kenny, the two new assistant coaches this year, a lot of freshmen enrolled early. I mean, what kind of life have they kind of breathed into the program from what you've seen?
They bring a breath of fresh air. I'd say all the new guys, usually that's how it goes when you have freshmen come in. I mean, I was that guy, a couple of years ago. So, I like taking those guys under my wing and helping them out any way I can. And then obviously Coach Marion coming in, we lost a great coach in Coach Beatty. And then, I think Coach Narduzzi and Coach Whipple did a great job hiring Coach Marion. I think he fits that room really well and, brings a whole new, energy and aspect to it. I sat in on some meetings and just try to listen to him teach and his terminology. So, we've been out there throwing with the receivers. I can translate to the terms that he wants and that he prefers. So, it's been going really well. I'm excited for Sunday. First practice is always exciting. Guys are flying around. The speed's fast. So, that'll be a good day.
Kenny, obviously Jordan kind of broke out last spring camp. Do you have any early read on who that next guy might be coming out of that wide receiver room who might have a similar spring?
That's a good question. I think there's a lot of potential everywhere. I'd say the guy who's impressed me the most going from just training and throwing would be tight end Gavin Bartholomew. I think he's really impressed me early. He came in ready. That was the first thing I noticed. For a young kid. just watching him, his work ethic and watch how he goes about his business. He came in ready to play, ready to go. So I'm really excited to see how he handles the playbook and everything this spring. But I think he's a guy who has potential to make an impact early.
Kenny, that senior class that just moved on with like Patrick, Rashad, DeMar, a lot of team leaders. So, I mean, how do you replace those guys, and who are some of the guys that kind of stepping up early in that regard?
Yeah, I mean, it's really tough to, obviously, we had a lot of senior leadership last year. Being a part of that, being a captain and being an Eagle here for a few years now. I've been around some great leaders, and I think the young guys need to take what they did and kind of use it as a platform, and they saw how it's done the right way. So I think, it'll be done by committee. I don't see, one guy stepping up early right now to be able to handle what those guys were handling as leaders, on the team. So I think it'll be by committee early, and then, we'll see who develops in the summer.
Kenny, one of your main guys your entire career at Pitt was Jimmy Morrissey. Seeing him go to the NFL draft. Just your thoughts on him taking the next step, and also who have you been connecting with on the offensive line now? Because this will be the first year you don't have Jimmy in the middle of the line, and working with him every game.
Right. Yeah. I mean, Jim, like you said, Jimmy's one of my best friends that I made while I've been here, and I was trying to get him to stay when I realized I was coming back. He didn't really bite on that, but yeah. I mean, I'd say Owen Drexel stepped up big this winter. I think he's he'll be out there with me day one, most likely. I mean, but besides that, a lot of the guys I played with, which is the really good news, also coming back. I've played with this offensive line for a couple of years now. We lost Bryce Hargrove too, who was really a good player. So we obviously have two big holes to fill, but I think Marcus coming in was huge. Obviously Carter and Gabe, having a lot of experience, and Macinsalva stepped in and did a really good job. I think he's, he has a lot of potential as a young guy. He's been impressive early on. Jay Cradle, another great offensive lineman. So I think we have a lot of pieces now. I'm excited to see those guys compete. I think it's probably one of the more competitive rooms we have right now. So that's always good to have going into spring. And, we'll just see how everything goes as practices move on.
Last year at this time, you developed a pretty good connection with Lucas Kroll. I was wondering if you were able to reconnect this spring. You plan to reconnect this spring?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. We've been throwing, 2 to 3 times a week. So, that connection's obviously still there. It didn't work out last year with him, having injuries, and he was fighting that. So, great to see him back fully healthy. He needs to maintain fully healthy throughout this spring, throughout camp, so we can go into season at full tilt. But really excited to play with him. Only had a short time with him. Had 3 practices last spring, and then a week or 2 in summer camp. So really didn't have a lot of time to play with each other. When we did, we had a blast. So really looking forward to getting back on the field with him.
Kenny, I know we're a couple months removed from it, but walk us through when you decided that you were coming back. Who did you call first? What was the reaction? Because it seemed like it came out of nowhere to pretty much everybody. So I imagine the coaches were pretty surprised too.
Yeah, I mean, I stayed in touch with Coach Narduzzi and Coach Whipple. Those were the 2 people here that I was obviously staying in touch with. Outside of that, I think everyone on the team and everyone had the idea that I was declaring. My friends back home didn't, they were the only ones that probably knew that I was, making a decision about it, just because I was stressed about it a little bit and talking to them. Besides that, everyone thought I was leaving. So, I had some people reach out to me. I reached out to some people and just got, as much information as I could. And at the end of the day, it was just such a broad, spectrum of where, I could have potentially wound up getting drafted. And, I think a lot highly, more highly of myself, I'd say, than where I was, projected. So as a competitor, it just, just fuels the fire more for this season. I've been working really hard with these guys, and everyone's been, putting a lot of work in. So I'm excited to get out there for spring, and that decision was made. And once I made a decision, either way I was going to go, I wasn't going to look back. So once that decision was made, I felt great. Didn't tell anybody, really just sent that tweet out because I was just ready to come back to Pitt and finish my last year. So that was really the thought process.
Kenny, this time last year, everything was shutting down. Is it a bit surreal, relieving that you guys get spring camp starting here on Sunday?
Absolutely, it's a relief, but in the back of your mind, you're always thinking, like, if we have some cases break out, this whole thing could get shut down for a little bit. So the plan is to have one Sunday, and if we get that in, it's have the second one, just take it day by day. So Yeah, I mean, it's still a crazy time. I feel like it's slowed down a little bit. But then you look at the NCAA tournament. I think it was Virginia today, right? Got canceled. They were supposed to, most likely be in that championship game, so they missed that opportunity. So it's a crazy time right now. I'm just grateful for each day that we get here.
Kenny, you'll be with your offense coordinator and quarterbacks coach for the third consecutive year. That's kind of unusual in these days at every college that coaches stay that long. How important is it for you to have that continuity with Coach Whipple?
Very important, very important. Coach Whipple's like family to me, and we developed a really good relationship over these years. And obviously, I mean, he was a huge influence on why I came back. If he wasn't coming back here, I wouldn't have came back. So he was a really big part of me coming here and coming back. And there's a lot of unfinished business, and he's a competitor just like I am. So we're really excited to get to work together for one final year and go out with the bang that we think we can. But we both understand, and this whole team understands that, a lot of work has to be put in first. So, I just, like I said before, grateful for each day that we get to work together. And I'm just excited for this season coming up.
Kenny, obviously, Whip is still that play caller, but you mentioned sitting in on Coach Marion's, wide receiver rooms and hearing some of the terminology. Are you familiar at all with that Gogo offense and all that kind of stuff? Have you looked into any of that?
The Gogo offense, not too familiar with. I want to watch some film with Coach on that on one of these off days and get more of an insight on that, behind the scenes insight, I guess, on that. I was just curious to learn, but yeah, I mean, I was sitting in on some of it, the interviews, and he just had some really good ideas. I think that'll fit with the pieces that we have coming back on this team. So I'm sure little by little they'll get sprinkled in there. Obviously the first couple installs are a real base offense, and just going back to the ABCs of it and the basics. So but I'm sure later in the spring, we already actually do have some in, so we've been going through walkthroughs and it's been going pretty well. So I'm excited just to see more of the concepts that he can add in for us.
Kenny, how excited are you to work with some of these, some more of the young receivers? You've worked with a lot of different receivers in your time at Pitt, but we talked about Jordan Addison, but you guys had a new freshman dunking a basketball, jumping over people. Seems like every year you guys are bringing in somebody that's explosive and fun to work with.
Right. Yeah, and I think that's our coaches are doing a really good job of bringing some really talented players in here, and then obviously I think our strength staff helps a lot. Those guys weren't, they come in athletic, but when you add a college weight room and you add Coach Stack's program to it, you kind of see, guys' bodies change pretty quickly. And, they're doing things that they didn't, expect they would be doing so fast, with how hard we're working, and the program's great. So, yeah, I mean, we got a lot of weapons. I'm excited to go out there the first day and just, let it fly and see what we have, and just, have fun, let it loose, and watch the film, and then just go back and do it over again for day two. But yeah, like you said, a lot of great athletes out there, so I'm excited to see it.
Are you looking toward the season yet? Is it too early? Any expectations with all of you guys coming back?
Definitely too early for that. Haven't had our first practice yet, so I'll save the expectations. Obviously, the expectations to win, so I'll keep it at that.
Anything final for Kenny?
You mean no predictions this year, Kenny?
Come on, Jerry, you know that. Predictions are done. I retired the predictions, so no, winning is the only thing that's on my mind, so that's really it.
Chris, did you want the last one?
Yeah, just something, just a your comment. It looks like, Kenny, you look like you were growing your hair out a lot more last year and cut it up a little bit. What went into that decision?
Yeah, there's some people who are not a fan of the long hair. I had some people who were very disappointed that I cut my hair. I don't think I cut. I mean, it's still coming in all right. It's okay. I'm gonna take it day by day, and we'll see how it looks throughout spring. I like it coming out of the back of the helmet, but sometimes it got a little too long. So I'll try and keep it like a little more maintained, and we'll just take it day by day, I guess.
All right, we'll wrap it up there. Kenny, thank you for your time today. Greatly appreciate it.
Thank you.
And thank you all for joining us. I hope that was a productive session. Like they all said, practice on Sunday, and we'll look to do some media opportunities next week, post-practice and on Pro Day, of course. So hope you all have a great weekend, and we'll talk to you soon.
RJ, will there be Zooms every day there's practice?
Probably just on the weekday practices. So it looks like mostly Tuesdays and Thursdays, but obviously everything is subject to change.
Is there
RJ.
practice going to be Sunday, Tuesdays, and Thursdays?
Just Sunday this week. Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday most weeks. But like I said, it's subject to change. But that's the tentative plan.
No date yet for the spring game?
I don't know. We'll announce it when it's finalized. But there's a date, but it could change. So.
Okay.
All right.
And RJ, there'll be some Zooms hopefully on Wednesday, pro day.
That's the anticipation. We've worked with the NFL coordinating. I think the guys that were combine invites are anticipated to be offered the chance to speak with you guys via our bureau camera room. Obviously, we can't make a guy do it, or if a guy has something come up or whatever. So, don't want to guarantee anybody, but I would anticipate getting several guys on Wednesday after workouts conclude.
Thanks, RJ. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Thanks, RJZ.
Have a good weekend.
Thanks. Have a good weekend, all.